Are your students there, ma'am? Manjushri ma'am?
Yeah, some are there, Kushbu, and yes. Now we are live on YouTube.
Okay.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. RSMDACC Arts and Commerce College welcomes you all to this certificate course in creative writing. And today is the fourth day. Friends, dance above the surface of the world and let your thoughts lift you into creativity that is not hampered by opinion. That is very important. So, our topic today is poetry writing, and poetry is the revelation of a feeling that the poet believes to be interior and personal, but the reader recognizes it as his own. Today, we have got an opportunity to meet the very talented, multifaceted, beautiful, sensitive, emotional Meena Mishra, who has set upon to paint her life with her own colors. Meena Mishra is the founder and CEO of the Impish Lass Publishing House. Meena Mishra is an out-of-the-box thinker, inspiring hundreds of students, teachers, and working professionals across the world turn into published writers and poets. She's an award-winning author, poet, short story writer, social worker, novelist, editor, an educator, and a publisher. The Impish Lass Publishing House is her brainchild. Her poems, stories, and book reviews have been published in many international journals and magazines. She is the recipient of several prestigious awards. She is an active member of Mumbai English Educators team and was invited by the Education Department of Maharashtra to be a part of the review committee for the new English textbook. She has been invited as a judge for several literary competitions, including the Literary Fest of IIT Bombay and NM College Fest. Her poems are published in many magazines, including the prestigious periodical Woman's Era, and she has been a contributing author and poet for more than 60 anthologies. Her contribution to the field of education and writing has received acclamation from the esteemed newspapers like Times of India and Midday. Her articles published in
her video, her
Ma'am,
voice.
please
Audio has gone
unmute
off.
yourself.
We can't hear you.
what happened? Okay,
Yes.
suddenly.
Yeah.
So her contributions to the field of education and writing has received acclamation from the esteemed newspapers like Times of India and Midday. Her articles published in Times of India's NIE and a suburban newspaper and leading educational magazine of the country, Brainfeed Higher Education Plus. She's on the mission of publishing the articles of students and educators of various schools across the globe under her unique project, The Young Bards. Her autobiographical novella, The Impish Lass, has been converted into a web series and can be subscribed on YouTube. Under the banner of her publishing house, the Impish Lass Publishing House, Mumbai, she has successfully published more than 50 books in 2.5 years duration, apart from the Young Bards book, various editions for students and teachers. More than 500 writers across the globe have received an opportunity of becoming published writers and poets under this banner. She was invited to share her views by Sony TV for their first episode of Zindagi Ke Crossroads, based on the needs of special children. She was recently invited by the Aaj Tak news channel to express her views on the special episode on the PMC Bank scam victims. She had written an exclusive poem which was read and appreciated by the living legend of Bollywood, Amitabh Bachchan. She has been the recipient of Wordsmith Award 2019 for her short story Pindar Ranch from the Asian Literary Society. She has received many awards in 2020 for her contribution to the field of education. And as a publisher, she believes that each soul that writes has the right to get published. Yes. And friends, the small wisdom is like water in a glass, clear, transparent, pure. And the great wisdom is like the water in the sea, dark, mysterious, and impenetrable. And poets have great wisdom. So today we have a poet amongst us. Let us try to understand some hues from the beautiful rainbow. It is a great pleasure for me to interact with you, Meena ji. I will call you Meena, as addressing someone with the first name connects the mind and soul. So, Meena, tell us
Thank
something
you
about,
very much. Thank you so much for the warm welcome first.
yeah. And Meena, tell us something about yourself. What kind of a person you are? Outgoing, shy, reserved, friendly, very social, bookworm. What kind of a person you are? Yes. And what is the what is the first impression people have about you?
Manjushri ma'am, I feel like, others should tell you, like, the people, those who know me, since they are there, they should tell you what kind of person I am. What do they find me as?
Yeah, but
Sujata,
you
would
tell
you
me
like to
what type
speak?
of, yeah.
Yeah, actually, I have known Meena for the past 20 years,
Okay.
and she's a very loving, outgoing, outspoken person, and very, very friendly. She's a people's person and very determined,
Yes.
because this was a small little dream that she had,
Yes.
and she had the grit and determination to, pursue it and actually achieve success. And she has motivated a lot of us friends, to please write, and we've been doing it little by little. So yeah, it's fantastic knowing her. So once you actually get to know her, you'll get to know more qualities.
Yes.
But just at the first shot, a very, very fun loving person,
Yes.
mischievous, ever smiling, and a very creative person.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
But
what I can tell about Meena.
Thank you so
thank
much,
you very
Sujata.
much. And but Meena, I want to know from you also, what do you feel about yourself? Yes.
See, for me, like, first thing is I'm not worried about what the other person would think of
Yes.
me. So I'm natural, I'm myself. So I will not change simply because, I became a publisher or I am an author or I'm a poet. I am myself.
Yeah.
So with whomever I interact in that manner only. And I believe people like me. Some of them love me the way I am. So I am outspoken. I am mischievous. I am determined and I'm friendly.
That I can see. Yes.
See, she wouldn't have reached where she has had she been a reserved and an
I
introvert.
know. I know.
So,
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
uh,
Yes. But Meena, just tell me that when I asked you for your biodata, why did you write bitter almonds?
No. That was an error, ma'am.
Oh, I was surprised. I was like worrying. Why has she written bitter almonds? I
No,
was.
no, no.
Uh-huh.
We are doing a book, okay?
Uh-huh.
And Bitter Almonds is the title of one of our books.
Okay. Okay.
So
Okay.
this biodata was sent for that book, Bitter Almonds. So
Uh-huh.
when I forwarded you the same message, it went as the document Bitter Almonds to you.
Oh.
Bitter Almonds actually is a book on magical realism.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so like magical realism is not something that in India many people know about and
Yeah.
many writers have written about. It's
Yes.
a completely different topic.
Uh-huh.
Okay, and we have been working for it, that book, Bitter Almonds, and that is how, like, you received it.
Okay. Yeah, I've read Draupadi's something about Draupadi written by uh, Indian
Praniti.
writer only, and it has magical realism, isn't it? From the point of view, from the perspective of Draupadi, it is written. And Chitra Divakurani is the writer, and she has read a beautiful book, and it's very interesting and all magical realism. Okay.
Realism.
You are a poet, then you are a writer, editor, novelist, social worker, a publisher. But what do you enjoy the most? I know you are a multifaceted personality. You must be enjoying everything. But still, from all these things, what you enjoy the most?
I like being a poet the most.
Okay. You are a
Simply
poet.
because, when you write, when do you write? And how do you write? So it is all about your inner thoughts, your feelings. You're pouring out your heart on the paper, and then you read it later on as a poem, and you feel so happy about it, about
Right.
your own creation. So it's nothing but you. It's mini you, some part of you, your
Yes.
poems.
Yes.
So that is how I can connect to it, and I love it.
Yes. But you
But
are,
otherwise, also I like my role as a publisher also very much.
yeah, we are going to talk about it. But
Yeah.
before that, what kind of social work are you involved in?
I'm associated with an NGO that gives free education to the kids.
Okay.
Okay, so when lockdown was not there, I would get those kids and teach them English so that they can speak English, they can learn English properly and all. So those are the kids, those who stay with their families under the bridges.
Great, great. And like you have written, each soul that writes has the right to get published, isn't it? So why do you say so? Tell us something about your publishing house, the Impish Lass, and why this name? And when did you decide that you want to become a publisher?
Okay. Uh, if you don't mind, I have a very young author from Delhi here who has joined me. She is a grade 11 student. And if you don't mind, I would like her to speak first, then I would like to speak.
Definitely, definitely.
Yeah,
It's
please.
your day today. You can go ahead. Yes.
Praniti, if you could speak.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, so I'd like to talk a little bit about my journey, so to speak, with Meena ma'am and Impish Lass Publishing House. So ever since I was a child of 8, I had this one dream that I want to become a writer when I grow up and a published author. Whenever I would go into the bookstores and see books with people's names on the book, would have this one dream that one day my name should also be there.
Yes.
So I set out, I guess, early into the publishing world, and I was, as they say, that what you seek is seeking you. So I think that is how that is one saying that holds true for Impish Lass in my life, at least. Okay, so once. So I'd say that it's become the center of my world now because writing for the different anthologies and my first book, 16 Drops of Ink, was published under the free publishing project, uh, where most publishing houses charge you a hefty fee and just give you 5 authors' copies. But this one publishing house, or one Wonderland as I would call it, published my book for free, and the books were done so beautifully, and now my second book is also lined up just because I could meet this Wonderland, as I would like to say. So yes, that's what
Great, great, great. Yes, great going. And yes, when did you, Meena ma'am, when did you start publishing? Yeah. And when did you get into this? When did you get this idea that, yes, I should now start my own publishing house?
I'll tell you. So first thing is what she talked about, like each soul that writes has the right to get published. As you saw, this is just one example. We have likewise around 500 people across the globe from various professions, those who have become published writers and poets because I believe in this thought. This is my motto. Okay. Otherwise, there are people, those who decide like whether your work is worth publishing or not. Okay, so that is one thing, like how can someone else decide your thoughts? Okay, anything that comes to my mind as a writer, as a poet, I would like to pen it down. I would like to express my thoughts. What is the harm in that? Okay, that is
Right.
first thing that clarifies that each soul that writes has the right to get published. How did I get the idea of getting published? For me, I used to write stories, I used to write poems right from a very young age. because I was born and brought up in a very small place. Okay, a very small hilly area surrounded by hill and forest and river in Jharkhand. A very small place. Totally, okay. And then whenever, whatever I would feel, I would write. So once I grew up, I just thought that I must get those things published. And you know, as you could see, like Praniti wanted to get published. Similarly, when I wanted to get published, I used to write, I used to put it on Facebook, I used to share it with my friends, and they would say that you write pretty well.
Just 1 minute. Ask the host to ask everybody else to mute.
Yeah.
Somebody's talking in the
I
background.
request all the students who have joined, please mute, because you know we are getting disturbed. All the students are requested, yes, Muskan and all the other students, please mute your mics. And I don't think I should repeat this again. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So for me also, like, you know, I had that urge of getting published. And finally, I happened to find a publisher who said that he would be publishing me, and he charged a bomb. And the kind of book he gave me, I'll show you. This was my first book, The Impish Lass. And it is just a printout. Can you see, ma'am? These are all A4 printouts given to me. Okay, nothing was done, just printout given in the form of book. And I had paid so much for this book. That day itself, I decided that one fine day I'm going to have my own publishing house and I'm going to republish my own book. And this is how I republished it.
Nice.
And this is the
very nice. Yeah, we can see.
So that is how I decided, no, I'm going to have my own publishing house and I'm going to publish my own. That's how I became a publisher.
Okay. And what are the privileges of becoming a writer and poet?
There are many.
Yeah.
It was like, you know, it is not necessary that you have to get published. Only then you become a writer and only then you can seek the privilege of being a writer. It is like even when I was in, say, grade 11, I had started writing for All India Radio. I would write stories and I would go and read out and record it. And those would be broadcast there. And then, you know, so as a grade 11 student, I had participated in an essay writing competition for my college.
Okay.
And I had got first prize in essay writing at state level.
Great. Yeah.
So there were people, those who had come from the capital city to give me award. And my principal was elated. My college was elated. And after that, wherever I would go, whichever place I would visit, my friends would introduce, she is the friend who writes.
Oh.
So like, you know, they see you, they view you in a different manner. You feel good about it. That is one thing. Second privilege of being a writer is that there are so many people, those who go through the same trauma, same problem, same predicament, but they are unable to express themselves. You are privileged enough to give voice to all those people. That's
definitely.
Relate to what you write. They feel happy.
I'm sure. Yeah. And please tell us something about the short story Pindar Ranch. I don't know whether I'm pronouncing it properly.
Pindar Ranch.
You received the Wordsmith Award. And what is the meaning of Pindar Ranch?
Pindar Ranch is the name of that small village in Mithila, that is in Bihar.
Okay.
And that is the village where I was born.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. So in those days, you know, there wouldn't be no hospitals, no doctors, nothing. And I was born at home.
Oh.
So that is what Pindar Ranch is all about. And so when I decided to write a science fiction story, I thought I would name that place as Pindar Ranch. So I just picked up my village name and placed it there. So it's a science fiction that deals about, you know, the aliens and all. And then finally they realize that, as much as science progresses, nothing can replace the human touch. So that love, that human touch is required.
Yes, I agree. And one sure window into a person's soul is his reading list. So, what do you read? What
I,
fascinates you?
I love reading poems since childhood.
Uh-huh.
So that poetry presentation that I have made for the kids, I mean, I can't call them kids, they are quite
Yeah.
grown up, the students. I
Uh-huh.
have included that poem, one of the favorite poems of mine, The Beggar Maid. So it is like since childhood, poems have fascinated me. I have always loved reading the romantic poets. Okay, and as far as fiction is concerned, Dan Brown is a favorite.
Okay.
The amount of research work he does for his book, I don't think any other writer does that.
Yes.
I mean, that is my opinion.
Yes. Definitely. You need to read a lot if you want to write a book. Yes. And you've talked about a book which was appreciated by Amitabh Bachchan. So, which was that book?
The poem you mean to say?
Yeah. What it is just written an exclusive poem. So, I don't know which poem.
Yeah.
Huh.
So that poem, I'll just share that poem so that others can also see that.
Yes.
Okay, this is the poem that was appreciated by Amitabh Bachchan.
Okay.
The name of the poem is In Search of Peace.
Hmm.
I kept on moving from one prison to another for years and years and had no strength to move further. I started doubting myself, losing all hope, as if there was no way out, absolutely no scope. Ruminating over my own condition, I almost forgot to participate in the conversation until brought back to senses by the strong touch of the jailer. We had almost reached the unreachable cellar. How traumatized was I at the sight of the carcass! Was that a horrendous painting on the canvas? Unexpected click of the key opening the oxidized lock brought a stir in the painting and it began to flock. Moved the silhouette, flagging and limping, mumbling in a voice flimsy and quaking, quivering. How shaken was I at her condition, observing her moth eaten clothes, a chiseled face, and blood flecked eyes. I notified her how much for her the humanity cries. With her contorted rheumatic fingers, she held my hands. Just have a look at me, my son, and tell me today, where do I stand?
Excellent. Beautiful. In search of peace.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that is the name of the poem, In Search of Peace.
Yes. I know a poet is a nightingale who sits in darkness and sings to cheer its own solitude with sweet sounds. Our sweetest songs are those that tell of saddest thoughts. This is, we've heard. And why can't we translate our happiness into our poems?
No,
Every
we
time we
do.
say, many people say, जब तक दर्द नहीं होता, ghazal nahi nikalti, poems nahi nikalte. So, yeah, and even many big poets have said these things. These words have been resonated in different forms by many poets. So, what do you have to say about this? Is it only about the sad things which touch
No,
people?
no, no. It
Happy
can't be
things?
only about sad things.
Yeah. Huh?
It is like, yes, sadness, people feel happy when they see that the other person is also equally sad, or somebody has gone through in life more than that person. So, like, they feel happy to relate to it.
Mm-hmm.
Sadness in real life, yes, if converted into words, if converted into poem, if converted into story, they do become impactful, powerful, and reach out to the people. But at the same time, it is not necessary that only sadness is required to write. You can have happy notes too.
Yeah. But it is said that if you cry because the sun has gone out of your life, your tears will prevent you from seeing the stars. Instead, you should say, let me not pray to be sheltered from dangers, but to be fearless in facing them. Let me not beg for the stilling of my pain, but for the heart to conquer it. Do you agree? Because, like many, you have your own publishing house. So I feel that you have faced storms. You have decided, you have that determination that, yes, I can do whatever I want, isn't it? You have faced life boldly. That is what I can see. Then are you a fighter, or a person who adjusts to circumstances, or a person who surrenders so that peace prevails? In the house, many a times, it is not that surrender is, I'm not using surrender as a negative thing. Many a times, for your children, for the family members, you have to sacrifice so many things. Not I'm not talking negatively, but I feel that many a times that is also a quality. So what do you think? What type of a person you are? Are you a fighter, or are you a person who adjusts to circumstances, or or you surrender so that, yes, peace should prevail?
Okay, so one of the poets has written here, a poet is a liar who always speaks the truth.
Yeah.
Okay, good work, Yutika. So, see, for me, like, I have always been a rebel. Let me tell you.
Okay.
I was born in a very small village.
Yes.
Okay, and then I was brought up in a very small town.
Uh-huh.
So, for me, like, moving out of that mentality, staying there also, like, even after marriage, I would wear frocks, and no one would wear there.
Okay.
People would wear bindi, and they would wear sindoor, and they would wear bangles. Okay, and then I was a rebel. I said, if I don't want to, I'm not going to do that. Similarly, even traveling, because ours was a place where we used to stay. That is, as I told you, I've already mentioned the name Chari. That is 20 kilometers far away from the town, that is Hazaribagh. Okay, and then there is valley in between.
Uh-huh.
Valley path. So through that, for half an hour by bus, you have to travel for 20 kilometers to go
Uh-huh.
to your school and college.
My God. Okay.
Okay, and the girls, they would always move early in the morning in the school bus, other girls, so that they can go and be comfortable there and sit there and relax in the college. But I would take a state bus. What we have, BEST here.
Yeah, yeah.
Similarly, we have a state bus here, state transport.
Mm-hmm.
So I would take that state bus at 10, so that if I have 10:50 lecture, I mustn't go and sit and waste time over there.
Uh-huh.
So I have tried out things that others won't do. I would go and get the gas cylinder for my house. No girls would do that in those days.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all the things that were, like, done by the boys, they wouldn't feel, because, girls should be very timid and shy and, nice and comfortable and cozy. I was never like that. So I was quite
Okay.
tomboyish. And till now, I am not scared of venturing into something new.
Yeah.
Storms in life, professional and personal, I have faced. When it comes to, maintaining the peace of your family life, yes, you should make some adjustments, because like being a rebel does not mean like, bringing turmoil in your personal life.
Definitely.
No,
Yes.
that's not being a rebel. It simply means that you should achieve your goal. You should do something. I wouldn't give up everything simply because, I want to be at home and take care of home. It simply means that my capacity is low. I can't manage both personal and professional life properly,
Yes.
successfully.
Yes.
So at
Yeah.
the same time, I have managed things as a publisher also, like, there were times when I got a few editors,
Mm-hmm.
okay, who created havoc initially when I had just begun the publishing house and I was new to this. And there were, towards, but then the support that I received from my writers, my poets, and my executive editors, my other editors, my students across, so that time I realized that no, 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 I'm strong. And you can't be strong alone. You
Yes.
need love and support of others in your life,
Definitely. Yes.
those
And
who believe in your ideology.
yeah, and managing so many things is a like really tightrope walk.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it's not easy. It seems easy, but it's not easy. Every day you have to like make adjustments and work very hard, And many a times the sacrifices we need to do, I think those are also not very easy ones. You have to think a lot about all those things because there are many things which won't happen in your life again. So you have to think a lot, isn't it? So
I'll
there.
tell you, ma'am, when we had come to Mumbai, when I had come to Mumbai, we just had one mat and one pillow for two people, my
Hmm.
husband and me. Okay, so that is the place from where we have started.
Yeah.
Had things been on platter, probably I would not have emerged the way I have.
Right.
It wouldn't have molded me, like, getting things easily, getting lots of luxury. It doesn't create a person out of you. It doesn't shape your persona.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Where there is a will, there is a way. Yes, because nothing is easy, and that is what we want to tell our students also that every day they are meeting a poet and author, and everybody has like struggled hard. It's not a very easy thing. So, here I would like to ask you, what would you tell the students? These are the students who are from our Students English Literary
Yeah,
Association.
and I wanted them here because I want to interact with them while my presentation happens. Yeah.
Yes, and they also.
Students, one thing I would like to tell you. Oh,
Huh?
sorry. Are you telling something, ma'am?
No, I was saying that these people, these students also contribute to the newspapers. They are writing poems. So, what should they do to become a like poet?
Okay. See, one thing is there that as far as the Imperial Class Publishing House is concerned, we are open to accept entries. I do have students, those who are in grade 3.
Okay.
Okay. And I do have people, those who are 70 plus, 80 plus.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter what your age is. It doesn't matter how you write. Okay. What genre you're writing, or what is your style of writing. What is your capacity as a poet or a writer. It doesn't matter at all. We do announce particular themes. We have almost 10 anthologies that we are doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And anyone who wishes to participate in it is allowed to participate in that. So anyone who is writing poem amongst your kids, I
Right.
mean, I say kids because I address younger kids.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And okay, students, so anyone who writes a story, anyone who writes a poem and wants to get published, by the way, how many of you are there of that kind? Can I have you unmuting yourself and speaking?
Muskan, then I think who's there? Khushbu. Please
Students, can
unmute.
you hear me?
You can talk. Please unmute. Muskan, I can see you. Yes. Anyone else? Let me see who all are there. You can unmute and talk. Khushbu.
Because during my presentation, I want the students. That is why I have requested Manjushri ma'am to get you people here.
Yes, yes, or they are there. Yes, but I don't know why they are not talking.
Yes, ma'am, we are very glad to be here.
But talk. Come on. Unmute
Sure,
and
ma'am.
talk to ma'am. She wants to have an interaction with you. Even Srushti, I can see.
Yes,
All of you are there. Please talk. Yes.
What all do you write, students? Please share that.
ma'am, I'm a student and poetry enthusiast. I'm Srushti this side. I'm willing to publish a book and seems now like I can do it.
You can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for the motivation a lot.
So sweet.
Yeah. Yes.
That's okay. So all the students, those who wish to get published, please do approach the Impishlas Publishing House and you can get converted into published writers and poets. As you saw, there is one 16-year-old child who has got. Then right now also in the month of Jan, I will be publishing 4 authors. And out of those, one is just 17-year-old.
Yes. Thank you, Meena. And can we move to poetry writing?
Yes. I'm
Yes. Our
moving
today's
to my
topic is poetry writing.
presentation and I want all the students to participate in that. Students, that is why I have invited you through Manjushri ma'am. Yes?
Absolutely, ma'am.
Good. So welcome to the poetry writing session, students. Why do people write poems? So what do you think? Take
You have to
turns.
put it on the
Okay,
slideshow, so that they'll be able to see clearly.
I'll do that. Can you see anything when the slideshow happens?
No, actually, no, I'm not able to see anything
Yeah, even
happening.
I'm not able to see.
I, why? But I think if you go to that from beginning, what is happening?
I can't see anything. I can just see one blank screen when I go for slideshow.
No, I can see your slide. The first slide is visible. But you know, this first slide, it doesn't have anything. It just has the title.
Okay, but you can see the first slide.
Yes, I can.
I can't. Okay. So welcome to the poetry writing session.
Yes, it's visible and fine now.
Yeah, now it's visible to me too.
Yes.
Why do people write poems? And this is not only for students, this is for the poets and writers also, those who have participated into this session. I mean, those who are still participating, they can also speak. Students?
Hello, ma'am. Srishti here.
Yeah, please.
Yeah, ma'am, I write poems because that is my happy place. So no matter how stressful or bad the day was, when I express my thoughts into words, I'm the happiest in the world. So that's it for me.
That's so nice hearing from you. Yes, that's true. Others? Why do we write poems?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am, I'm Vaibhavi. I feel poems are written as a form of expression because it's the simplest form of expression that can a person write, that a person can write.
So do you think anyone and everyone can become a poet then? Vaibhavi?
Ma'am, writing poet requires a sensitive heart and a willingness to share experience in the form of writing work or written work like poem.
That's so nice of you. Very nice. So it simply means that only if you are sensitive enough towards everything around can you write a poem, right? Vaibhavi?
Yes, ma'am.
Good answer, Vaibhavi. Next student, please.
Ma'am, may I answer?
Anyone can ask.
Okay, so like I would like to quote um, one of one of my favorite quotes out here, written by Sir Carls, that says, "These words keep me from total madness." So yeah, that is the reason I actually put those madness into the form of poem.
Yeah, so you need to be mad enough to become a poet.
There should be mad passion to write a poem, maybe.
Okay, very good. Excellent. What are the kinds of poems you like reading?
Ma'am, can I answer?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, the kind of poems that I like reading are poems based on social issues, such as domestic violence and other kinds of social issues that are overlooked by society but very essential.
Okay. Others? What are the kinds of poems you like reading?
Hello, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Ma'am, I like reading social ones and the motivational and optimistic ones.
Very good.
Ma'am, to that I would answer that I really like reading free verse because it actually provides an impetus to the writer's thoughts without much of an hindrance in it. And apart from that, lately I have been okay. So Pranati is here. After her session, lately I have been developing interest in haiku because there is a too much metaphor in it, and metaphor is my kind of writing. So I would say I'm kind of developing an interest for haiku now.
Very good answer. How many of you know what a haiku is? Students?
Ma'am, I do.
So this is what one response we had got. Why write a poem? So poem helps you to see things with fresh eyes, dream, share, think of new ideas, and understand your feelings. Okay, and for all these things, you need to be writing from the heart. That is very important, that you write from your heart. Otherwise, you can't become a poet. Free verse, as right now Yutika said, free verse poems are the best to start with. Anyone who wants to become a poet should always begin with a free verse. You are not stressed out with, too many things and rhymes and rhythms and all. You don't have to have regular rhyme, line length, or rhyme. Best of all, you can play around with words and put them together in any way you like. So there are no rules, but below are some tips for writing a strong poem. So how will you plan your poem? Very first thing is you need to have a theme. Why do you need a theme? Anyone who wants to answer? Suppose I want to write a poem. So why do we need a theme here? Why? How does it help us? All those who write can respond to this.
Like the word and the sentence has to be according to the theme of the poem or kind of literature you write. Yes, you have to finalize the theme. You have to finalize the theme before you start writing something.
Okay, I believe you were a bit inaudible earlier. So can you just repeat your answer? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure. I guess theme is important. Theme is like kind of subject if you are writing some kind of literature, and what kind of idea or what kind of thought you have to proceed with writing. So you have to decide a theme. If I consider my theme is like happiness, I have to write about I have to make the theme about happiness. If my theme is about sadness, I have to write words, use sentences and like words around that. So it is important to start writing anything.
Okay, very good. What happens is that theme allows you to think straight. Like you have a theme in front of you, you think, okay, fine, now this is where I stand and I have to move ahead. Okay, so it helps you. What is tone? Think about the message and feelings you want to use in your poem. So that is loneliness, happiness, new, old. How does tone affect your writing? How does it affect the theme? Who would like to answer this?
Ma'am, may I?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, so we always say that poems are relatable. Like it conveys the emotion of the poet to the reader, and it helps the reader feel the emotion of the poem. So, of the poet. So, I would say tone is that element which is a bridge between the feelings of the poet and the reader.
Very true. Because you know what, if I am sad, if I am happy, if I am lonely, then I know, okay, what are the kind of poems that I want to read now, that I can connect to, I can relate to. So it helps you relating with your readers. That is why tone is important. And the symbol, if you like, choose something to be a symbol for something else. For example, mountains, wise, old woman, the wind, loneliness, sword, bravery, fire, starting anew. Okay, so it is not necessary that if I am alone, I have to say that I'm alone, I am feeling lonely. Instead, you can talk about something else. You can talk of the wind. Which are the various things that you have taken as symbols? Any writer, poet, student who wants to speak?
And my personal favorite is a seed.
Okay, very good. I'll just read out a story to you so that you understand how symbols work. Okay, I'll just stop this slide here and I'll come back to this. I'm just trying to escape and unable to move out. Okay, let me finish it off. Then I'll show you how symbols work in the next, once I finish with this. The tips that poets and readers agree most strong poems. So how can you make strong poems? Share your ideas, observations, and feelings. If you are writing about your own experiences, write in the first person. To begin with, it's always easy. It's always advisable that you go for something that you have observed, you are going through, you have experienced, you have seen it around, okay? And when you are talking about yourself, use first person, so it becomes very effective. Use line breaks or stanzas to show where you want pause to be in your poem. So it should not happen that it goes on and on and on. One poem has begun and it is not ending only and people don't know how to read it. Okay, so it has to have a break where the line breaks are. People should understand that. Repeat some of your favorite phrases. It's okay to repeat. It's not necessary that you go on and nothing should be repeated at all. Why is it going like this? I don't understand. Know your goals. There's some problem with the look at the poetry tools that you need that we talked about. Line breaks, writing in shorter lines to slow the reader down. What is rhythm according to you? What does rhythm do to a poem? Anyone who wants to answer?
Ma'am, may I?
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, it gives it a sense of tempo, a speed by which you express yourself. As well as you even notice that if a poem is really sad and words are used in such a way, the rhythm is said to be slower. But when you want to express happiness, and speed is quite higher in a happy poem.
1 second. Can others mute themselves, please? Can you repeat your answer once again loudly?
Sure, ma'am. I was saying that the speed gives a momentum to the poem, and for example, if it's a sad poem, it will be slow. So the rhythm, when you read it, it'll be a very slow poem. And whereas if it's something happy, the speed will be quicker. It will not be a lullaby like.
That people sleep. Okay, very good. What is simile and why do we use it? All the people, those who are here right now in the meet, all of them write. Please let me know what is a simile and how do we use it?
Ma'am, simile is actually a poetic tool that is used to show comparison between two things, and the comparison actually provides more clarity and makes the poem look a little more interesting. So instead of just saying he is a good leader, he is a leader who is as good as a lion, would have, would actually
Better.
make the poem sound a little more interesting and impactful.
Very true. Very true. Metaphor? Anyone who would like to say? Now we talked about simile. Can we talk about metaphor, please? What is a metaphor then? And what is the difference between simile and metaphor? And why do we need it in a poem?
Excuse me, ma'am. Metaphor,
Yes, please.
again, like a simile, it is also a comparison. But in simile, we use words like or as. But in metaphor, we don't use that.
Yeah, very good.
More like an
And
indirect
is
comparison.
metaphor more effective than simile according to you?
Yes, ma'am. Because here we use the word like and metaphor. I feel that it's more good and it sounds good while using.
Okay, very good. Thank you so much for this. Why do we use personification in a poem? And what is personification?
Ma'am, personification is giving human qualities to non-living things.
So
And
why do we use it?
we use personification to run our imaginations into the corners where the reality can't reach.
Lovely, very good. Such a wonderful explanation. What is imagery?
Ma'am, may I answer?
Yeah, please.
Ma'am, imagery is basically using certain linguistic techniques, helping the reader visualize what you are saying. Like, for instance, we could say, ma'am, basically, the way I use imagery is a combination of a simile and metaphor, just to increase the picture effect of whatever I have written for my reader.
Okay. Anyone who can mention Wordsworth's poem that has imagery in abundance?
Daffodils?
Yeah, very good. Daffodils, you can actually visualize 10,000 dancing. Yeah, beside the lake, beneath the trees and all. Actually, you can imagine that. That is the kind of imagery a poet or a writer creates from his works. Alliteration, what is it and why is it required in a poem? Anyone who wants to answer? Students, are you there?
Alliteration is used to give a poetic effect with words beginning with the same sound.
Very good. Repetition?
Repetition is like alliteration, but here the words are repeated again for a poetic effect and to stress something.
Excellent. These are the elements, these are the tools that you can use for making your poem effective, so that even when you read it later, you like it. Now, as we discussed here, rhyme. Is rhyme necessary for a poem, or it's okay not to have a rhyme in a poem? What do you think, students? And what is rhyme all about?
It is okay to not have a rhyme in a poem. There are many popular poems which don't rhyme, but I personally prefer poems that rhyme because it gives a good feeling and sounds like a jingle, so it remains in your head for long.
Very good. So there is reason for that, right? For having rhyme.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, same with rhythm. What is rhythm then? Do they go hand in hand, rhyme and rhythm?
Yes, they do. Rhythm provides a stance and an effect over the words.
Very good. So see one small example. They have given you one little duck went swimming one day over the hill and far away. So like all those nursery jingles, nursery rhymes, they all had rhythm, right? So none of us ever forgot those nursery rhymes. How many of you still remember it, students? Which was your favorite one?
Baba Black.
Just read it.
Jack and Jill.
Recite Baba Black said. Baba Black Sheep. And what does black sheep mean? Would anyone recite Baba Black Sheep?
Baba Black Sheep, have you any wool? Yes, sir, yes, sir. 3 bags full. One for my master, one for his dame, and one for the little boy who lives down the lane.
Yeah. So you remember, because it has rhyme, it has rhythm. Right? Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
And what exactly black sheep means?
Ma'am, may I answer?
Yeah, please. What is a black sheep?
Yeah, so if I am not completely sure about it, but black sheep, if I'm not wrong, is an idiom in English that means something different than the normal one, something odd.
Okay. Okay, that can be one thought about black sheep. Here, actually, in this poem, they actually meant black sheep. But black sheep is someone who gets a bad name to the family. Understood? So, like, say, for example, each family has a black sheep. Okay. Then we have repetition. Repetition, all of you know, we have already discussed it. To repeat the sounds, words, or phrases. Imagery, visualization. It is necessary that whatever you write, others can actually imagine it, can visualize it, can see it. Otherwise, they can't relate to it. You can't write only facts, facts, facts. Then it is article writing. It can't be poetry writing then. Simile, metaphor, alliteration, personification, all these things, mix them. Not that you have to have them together in one poem, but each poem written by you should have some element of these. Then onomatopoeia, that we did not discuss till now. What is onomatopoeia? And why is it required? How does it beautify a poem?
Onomatopoeia are words that denote sound. It is important to describe or to imagine a situation. For example, he entered with a bang. So it gives specifications to a situation.
Yeah, bang, the hissing sound. Okay,
Yeah.
quack, quack. So that sound effect, that these days they give in the videos and movies and all those sound effects have been given by the poets and writers from times immemorial. Tell me one thing, students and writers and poets, those who have joined me today. Is it necessary for us to edit our work? Yes, no, why?
Ma'am, may I answer?
Okay.
Ma'am, in my case, personally, I'm just speaking from a very personal perspective. I don't edit my poetry because I believe that poetry is a spurge of emotions let out from the heart, and I don't believe that poetry can be edited because poetic license permits you to do things your way. But yes, stories can definitely be edited, be it incorporating techniques to make the words better and the images better.
That is your thought. Others, what do you think? Poems should be edited, not edited? Why?
Ma'am, may I answer?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, I edit my poems, and I believe that once you've written a rough draft, you ought to give it a read again, because sometimes you do, in the flow of emotion, you write it, but it doesn't make sense to you afterwards when you read it. And if it doesn't make sense to you yourself, how will your readers understand you? And for the reader, it's a new poem, it's something different, so it should make sense. And while editing, even I add on the punctuation, which helps the reader understand its meaning. And I do think it's a good practice that you must write a poem and go through it, edit it later on, and actually give a gap in the middle. Since you're already into the flow of the emotion, you should give it a gap and then objectively edit it. So I do that.
Very good. Anyone else?
May I answer?
Yes, please.
Ma'am, I feel that initially when someone is writing and is at their initial phase, they do not edit. Means mostly they do not edit, because when you're writing, you want the motivation to write again. So when you edit it, when you write the first time, so how will your draft be at the first time? Because you're not a pro in writing. So I feel that initially we do not edit, but as time passes on and we get more experience in writing, we edit, because editing makes us more experienced, and it improves our work. So yes.
Very good. How many of you have edited your work? And with how many of you it has happened that whatever you have written 2 years back, when you read it and you laugh and you feel, what nonsense is this?
Ma'am, I
Has
have
it happened?
experienced that.
Have you?
And I've often laughed at it, how silly mistakes are made in the grammar or the form of it. And I noticed that I was never sequence wise, I would not go. I would haphazardly write it. So I have
won't
gone through
term
my work and it's really funny.
I won't term those to be mistakes or them to not be poems. I would just say that that time I was writing a comic and I did not know I was writing one.
Okay, so one thing I would like to tell you today, this is for all the writers, poets, and students, those who have joined in, and those who are watching us on YouTube. First thing is, when you are writing for the first time, don't think of rhyme, don't think of rhythm, don't think of grammar, don't think of syntax, don't think of anything right and wrong. Just go with the flow of your thoughts and emotions and jot down whatever comes in your mind. Just write. Don't think of anything. That is the first thing. Second thing, if you are planning to get it published, please go through it again. Now just have a look at this. My darling, my dear, the love, my life. Now what has happened is, now we have spell check and it tells you that delete repeated word. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, now it says, but earlier it wouldn't be. So like while writing, probably we have repeated something that does not make sense. That is one thing. Second thing, probably you have written something with the flow of thought that time and you want to change it now. You feel you want to improvise. So it's okay to edit. It's okay to edit a poem also. Even if it is a free verse, edit if you wish to. Okay. So this is one tip for writing poems. How many of you have tried a ballad? What is a ballad? A ballad is a poem or song which tells a story in a simple way. Originally, ballads were often anonymous folk tales, but now it is like any story that you tell in a very simple way, in a poetic way, becomes a ballad. Have you tried writing a ballad? Any one of you?
Yes, ma'am, I have tried. Actually, I got an inspiration from the ballad of Birmingham, and I was writing it for a competition in which I did end up getting an A grade. It was
Oh,
for the
lovely.
AIFEST, and I wrote the topics given to us were for my age group. It was the pandemic or shades of love, and I wrote on the pandemic, and I titled it as a subtitle as the Ballad of Pandemic. And I did notice I got an inspiration from this ballad of Birmingham, but when I sat down to write it, I was totally disappointed with what came out as the first draft. But then I realized that little corrections I could make and could get the meter correct, the rhyme correct, and then once I read the final piece, I was like, it does deserve to go for the competition. And good I gave it. I got an A grade, and I was really happy. It was an international competition, and when writing this, I just knew how much pressure people in the past must have gone through to write such beautiful ballads of the past. So that's my
Would you like to
experience.
read that?
Sure, ma'am. I'll have to search for it in my phone.
Okay, okay, no problem. But congratulations. I'm happy to know
Thank
about
you,
it.
ma'am.
What is a sonnet? And how many of you have
Ma'am,
written
sonnet
sonnets?
is
Hmm.
Ma'am, sonnet is like a 14-line poem. I haven't written sonnet, but I do prefer reading a lots of sonnet. Since I am a William Shakespeare lover, I would say my number one sonnet would always be "Shall I compare thee to a summer's day?" A beautifully expressed sonnet, and I do suggest a read to you all.
Good. What is an ode? Any idea about ode? Poetry lovers? A poem dedicated to a person or an object. Serious in tone and usually written in a series of stanzas. Any famous poem, any ode you remember? Any title that comes to your mind?
Ode to a Nightingale?
Ode to a Nightingale. Limerick is fun. Anyone can try writing a limerick. Okay, it's comic verse just for fun. It doesn't make any sense. Then we have Clary Hugh. Have you heard of this? Clary Hugh, 4-line comic verse with 2 rhyming couplets. The first line is the name of a person about whom the Clary Hugh is written. So I've got an example of Clary Hugh for you, simply because I didn't remember teaching Clary Hugh to my students. So I thought I'll just get an example for you. Clary Hughs are 4 lines long. The first 2 lines rhyme together, that is AA. The last 2 lines rhyme together, that is BP. And it has to be funny. And the first line, as I said already, it has to be the name of a person. So, normally the students already write Clary Hugh for all the teachers in the classroom, but they don't know it is known as Clary Hugh. The second line usually ends with something that rhymes with that person. How many of you have written some Clary Hugh about your teachers? Anyone who remembers? Okay. The enemy of Harry Potter was a scheming plotter. I can't tell you what he's called. I would be ashamed to name he who must not be named. So you see, it's very simple. And here we have Harry Potter for you. and then what teacher query you, because I know for sure, I know you wouldn't like to name that and mention that here, but all of you must have kept some or the other name for some teacher and written some or the other query you. So here we have our art teacher, Mrs. Shaw, really knows how to draw, but her awful paintings have caused many faintings. How many of you faint when you see your teacher working in the classroom?
Ma'am, I believe only the teacher.
Even I believe that. Teachers get stressed out with all these things. True love is the purest gift, running away and being together under the moon and stars every day and each night. Love holds both hearts safe over the vast distances and time, virtue and honor. Ever it will keep them close and in love. Students, love has been and will always remain the main theme for writing poems. Because that is the most wonderful expression in the world. Falling in love with someone, it can be a human being, it can be an imaginary being also. Because for me, like as a poet, I have been living into a world where no real person is there. Okay, I have an imaginary being and I fall in love with him. I write poems. Then I also experience heartbreak. Then also I write poem. Then I reconciliate with him. Then also I write poem. So it is not necessary for you to become a poet. Like, you need to have a muse who is a human being. How many of you have ever imagined of something like this that made you write? Anyone? Or anything that inspires you to write?
Ma'am, I have not done it once. I have done it for quite many times, actually. And I would say it's not that whatever I write is just about the person. It's probably connected to some real life event, not entirely, but bits and bytes. So, yeah, it actually provides an impetus for us to walk into somebody else's world without actually being there.
Yeah. Anyone else who wants to answer?
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, Maria.
Ma'am, I have done it for I think 4 or 5 of my poems. It was that I imagined myself to be someone else, and one of the poems was the first poem I wrote, which got published in my college magazine, and it was titled "An Evening Walk with God."
Oh.
And I imagined myself to be a young man walking down the street, and actually in England. I based my poem in England, and I imagine myself to be this person walking down and trying to look for something to do, and to find God was his aim. But he ends up seeing a lot of things down the road and realizes maybe God isn't actually there when I'm going to seek him or find him. And in the end, he hears a voice. I mean, I put it in such a way that he hears a voice from heaven saying, um, then he looks back in the cloud and says, all this while you searched for me, and I never knew. But now you know that I'm not only there, but I'm here with you. And I ended the poem that way. And I did picture myself, and it was really life-changing poem for me, because many of them have read it, a few people of mine, and they surely said that it changed their life for or view on God actually.
Nice to hear from you. Because you know what, many a times what people feel is like, if you are writing about pain, then you have to go through pain. If you are writing about love, then you have to fall in love. So falling in love with what? Whom? So it is not necessary that you have to fall in love with a girl has to fall in love with a man. Okay, you can fall in love. You can can have a muse of your own. And it's good to have a muse. Okay, so love has been and will always remember that love is the only thing that can save the world. Okay, so never think that, oh God, it's so cliched. Why do people write love poems? Love poems will always remain there in this world. You like it, you don't. As I had told you, one of my favorite poems that I loved right from childhood. It's The Beggar Maid. You know, right from childhood, when I would read this poem, I could actually visualize it. And that love that I talked about now, falling in love with someone, love at first sight, it's such a lovely feeling. Okay, and here goes the poem. Her arms across her breast she laid. She was more fair than words can say. Barefooted came the beggar maid before the king Perpetua. In robe and crown, the king stepped down to meet and greet her on her way. It is no wonder, said the lords, she is more beautiful than day. As shines the moon in clouded skies, she in her poor attire was seen. One praised her ankles, one her eyes, one her dark hair and lovesome mien. So sweet a face, such angel grace, in all that land had never been. Cophetua swore a royal oath, this beggar maid shall be my queen. By Alfred Lord Tennyson. So this is one of my favorite poems. You understand, beauty has no connection with luxury. Even in poverty, you can see beauty, love. These have been the favorite themes of poetry writing, and it will remain there. So as much as you deny the fact that, it has to be the beauty of heart and it has to be always, you will look beautiful only when you are beautiful at heart. You can't look beautiful only if you are beautiful physically. No, physical beauty cannot reflect on your face. So this is one of the favorite poems of mine. And stars ink your fingers with a lexicon of flame, blazing rare knowledge. And here I have Robert Frost. Poetry is when an emotion has found its thought and the thought has found words. So this is how poetry is born. Whatever you feel, whatever are your thoughts, whatever are your emotions, when you jot down, convert them into words, and they come on the paper, they become poetry. As I told you in between that I wanted to read out something to you, I would be reading it now because I couldn't exit from this place earlier and I couldn't read to you. So one major tip and lesson that I want to give to all the students watching this program. Okay. Please don't limit yourself to the luxuries provided to you. Don't think that if you're born and brought up in a very rich family or a family where lots of comforts are there, you can become a poet, you can become a writer. No, You can become a writer even if you have gone through hardships. Okay? And your English, how will you speak English? It doesn't matter your parents were literate, illiterate, educated, or uneducated. So here is one story that I want to read out to you from this book, The Impish Lass. Impish Lass is a collection of anecdotes from my life. And this story is very close to my heart because it has a lesson for you. An illiterate mother takes a decision. This is for all the girls. Till stood beneath the sweltering sun-crested sky, her hands tightly wound around her mother's slender fingers. The clouds were colored a deep effulgence, golden, and the long dry grass grazed her knees. Ma, she whined dramatically, putting a hand to her waist. I can't walk any longer. Where are you taking me? My back is tired. If I take even a single step more, my knees will melt and break, she moaned. Till's mother, a hefty and powerful woman, swiveled around and began laughing. How will your knees melt? She spoke, immersed in a fit of incessant giggles. Ma, don't laugh at me. It's so hot. When we eat ice cream in the sun, the ice cream melts, doesn't it? So the same way, my knees will melt, squealed Till, a persistent aura in her voice justifying her logic. Her mother bent down and scooped Till up in her strong arms as they journeyed further. Her mother burst into song. As Till followed suit, their song in sync with the rhythmic tinkle of a mother's bangles. A moment later, the mother and daughter paused before a host of sunflowers. The sunflowers seemed to be outlined by the bright golden sun rays and were decked in the various shades of yellow. This scenario was absolutely overwhelming. Do you see the sunflowers, Rajkumari? Asked Till's mother, lovingly stroking her daughter's head as Till nodded. Look at the way the sunflower follows the sun. You will see that whenever the sun changes position in the sky, the sunflowers will follow suit. You know, child, I'm illiterate, but I can read the textbook of nature, which contains the alphabet of love. Every human being can understand the language of love, but that is if the human being wishes to do so. Nature holds such vivid and beautiful examples upon her pages, this scenario being one of them. The sun is the ideal teacher, and the sunflower is the ideal student, following the guru wherever the guru goes. There is so much you can learn from the sunflower tale, and I hope you will. With these words, Till's mother scooped up her daughter in arms and took her back home. Till, the impish lass, was a fair, chubby, eye-catching, endearing 3-year-old baby with curly black locks touching the absolute center of forehead and meeting in a specific spot between her eyebrows. She lived with her parents, uncle, and a younger brother at Kali Bazar, a small colony at Hazaribagh, a small town in Jharkhand. All the people living in that locality had a soft spot for her. So much so that whenever Till's mother had to go out of town, a host of brightly clad women queued up to babysit Till. The people of the locality had nicknamed Till Khazana, which means treasure box. Truly, Till was a khazana of love, innocence, and stories. Despite her tender age, she was an ambitious and immensely active storyteller. Her eyes would shine, and she would move her hands dramatically while narrating tales from the magical world of her imagination. She seemed to house a myriad fairyland with her 3-year-old self and would widen her eyes with amazement, sometimes surprised by her own tales, as she would narrate tales about the princess who thrives on the leaves of the spinach that her mother would bring home every alternate evening. These tales and these adorable actions were the highlight of everyone's heart, and one could spend hours and hours listening to Till's narrations. Till's father decided to shift to a more secure house far away from this lane. A colleague of his helped him in the process, and the whole family shifted to Munka Bagicha, quite a lane at Hazaribagh. Till always told her mother that she wanted to go to an English medium school. Those were the days when parents preferred their kids going to the nearby municipal school by a simple hop, skip, and jump from their house, at least during initial years. Her mother was an illiterate lady, but thought of inquiring about her daughter's admission. She asked many neighbors in the locality. One of them informed her that there was a convent school for girls, but that day was the last day of admission. Till and her mother visited Mount Carmel School. Both mother and daughter were thrilled to see the school. The huge campus, excellent infrastructure, spacious and well ventilated classrooms, and the huge playground fascinated both of them. The teachers were elegant women, clad in crisp saris. They wore their hair in tight buns and smiled lovingly at him. They wore minimal jewelry, and yet they seemed like the most beautiful women on the face of the earth, outshining the slim, feather headed models that often walk the ramp. Because the true jewels are education and learning, spoke Till's mother, almost reading her daughter's thoughts. Gold and silver do fade away one day. Till's mother requested the school authorities to fill up the admission form for her. As she couldn't read or write, they did the needful. Shall I ask my husband before I make the payment? She thought for a moment and then rubbed off the idea. Whatever she was doing was for her daughter's betterment after all. With a broad beam on her face, she made the payment. Have you ever been at sea in a dense fog when it seemed as if a tangible white darkness shut you up in the great ship, tense and anxious, groped her way towards the shore with a plummet and sounding line, and you waited with beating heart for something to happen? I was like that ship before my education began. Only I was without compass, a sounding line, and no way of knowing how close the harbor was. Light, give me light, was the wordless cry of my soul, and the light of love shone on me in that very hour. These lines by Helen Keller always reminded Till of a girl who would have lost herself, or rather never discovered herself, if it hadn't been for education. Similar is the case with millions of children across the globe, isn't it? Till's mother took a decision that family led her to what she is today. Her urge to educate her daughter made Till grateful to her throughout her life. And the way she took the decision without referring to her father was the reason Till always looked up to her. The lady with sturdy virtues inspired her to be like her and take commendable decisions for the ones she loves. The virtues of this lady did not have an indelible impact solely on Till. Instead, through Till, they impacted a myriad people around her. For instance, on her first day of school, Till's teacher asked every student to draw their inspiration on paper. The students had filled their sheets with drawings of sportsmen and flamboyant film actors. But Till's subtle and neat pencil work caught the teacher's eye. Till had drawn a simple sunflower, coloring it a light yellow, and above the sunflower she had drawn a majestic sun, ensuring that the sun rays were the brightest orange color. She had beautifully shown the sun rays caressing the petals of the sunflower. How is the sunflower your inspiration, dear? The teacher asked her with a curious expression in her eyes. For me, the sunflower is the true symbol of unconditional love and respect. It looks up at the sun and follows it wherever it goes. It does not say anything and lets its actions speak louder than words. It clearly considers the sun to be its guru. I also want to become like the sunflower one day. I also want to imbibe the essence of unconditional love and respect for you, ma'am, since you're my guru. With these words, Till bent down and touched the teacher's feet. With teary eyes, the teacher blessed Till and held her close. The teacher knew that the child had a fertile imagination and could make a promising writer once nurtured and guided. For some reason, the teacher was overwhelmed by a desire to seize the moment before her and begin just then. So, what do you think, my child? How does the sun teach the sunflower? What goes on in your classroom of the sky? Well, ma'am, maybe the sun rays are the chalk and the sky as the board began till. After all, till had just begun. And as she talked on, delving deeper into the heart of the story, the teacher knew that how there was no stopping. Students, this was the message for you. All of you, there is no stopping you. If you listen to your teachers, follow the instructions given by them, and have a guru in front of you.
Thank you, Meena. And actually, when you were teaching, there were people who were writing in the chats also, whatever questions you were asking. The people who are on YouTube, they were also answering your questions, what is haiku and all those things. And there's just one question which Sunil Bokche wants to ask, and that is, can anyone write a poem without emotion?
Can anyone write a poem without emotion? Yes, you can. If you're forced to write a poem, you are given a title, you are given a deadline, and somebody asks you give. So at Impish, you know what we do? Impish Publishing House, we provide them with a caption, we provide them with an say impromptu thing, or we give them a topic. Say, let's break up from stress. So I tell you, let's break up from stress. You have emotion, you don't have emotion, right? It's an activity. Do. So they do it.
Yes. And thank you, Meena. And that was a very, very impressive presentation, very educative also. And students interacted and they really enjoyed. Even on the chat, I can see that people have enjoyed and they have learned a lot. You explained what a poem is, then you explained the different types of poems, and the interaction was also it was fantastic. Yes, and hats off to you. And now the children know that yes, they up till now they were writing for newspapers, but now they know that yes, there's a place, yes, there's a publishing house which has something for them also. They can also contribute, they can expect a book or something.
They can become published, ma'am.
Yes,
everyone can get published.
Yes, they can get it published. So thank you very much for that information also. And yes, that has created hope in them, which is very, very like that was the need of the hour also for this creative writing course, because students should be made aware of all these things. And thank you for that. And students who have not yet started writing, I just want to say that write. Whatever makes you happy, write. Whatever disturbs you, what you fear, what you have not been willing to speak up, just write. Writing is very important, Your writing voice is the deepest possible reflection of who you are. The job of your voice is not to flatter or make well-shaped sentences. In your voice, your readers should be able to hear the contents of your mind, your heart, and your soul. So what is the secret? The secret to being a writer is that you have to write. It's not enough to think about writing or study literature or plan a future life as an author. You really have to lock yourself away alone and get to work. That is more important. Start writing. You can become a writer only if you don't quit. Yes. So writing comes more easily if you have something to say. So if you have something to say, then you should write. So start reading, start writing, and happy learning. So thank you, Meena. And let us expect some more sessions from you in future too. It was really nice that you accepted our invitation and yes, took all the pains to make these slides and explain it to our students. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much for calling me here and having me here on your show.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, everyone. Those who have participated in today's event and those who have been watching it on YouTube.
Yes.
Thank you.